that are specific to this store. You press on this deal to save $10 when you spend $30. To use it, you simply slide this over to say, yeah, you know, I want to use it. You slide it over at the register. There's the coupon code. You tell the coupon code to the clerk. They put it in the register, and you save $10. $10! Save $10!
One woman in an elevator, she turned to me, and I was like, okay, she's going to say, hey, I watch Heroes, I like the show. And she turned to me and she goes, you saved me $60 yesterday. I was like, wow.
Yowza is free for the user. The profit comes from the merchants who pay a fee to include their coupon on the app.
I can make a drink later.
If this is so great, and the retailers have so much money, why don't they just do it themselves?
Some of them have. You know, like Whole Foods has a great app. And they do. Target has a great app, but they also see value in joining an app like ours. Ours is all about critical mass. So if you get, it's like walking through a mall. You press Yowza, all these stores come up. Well, if you're looking for a restaurant and you're thumbing through, you're like, oh, Guitar Center, I didn't know they were on there. It's just like walking through a mall.
Yowza is doing well enough that Grunberg recoups his initial investment of $100,000.
We've made that money back already, and this is a tech business that has monetized itself immediately. We've got other app ideas, but this is one that has allowed me to use my entrepreneurial side, my tech side, my celebrity side, and just bring it all together.
Grunberg isn't the only app developer who isn't a professional computer programmer. Rob Shoesmith, a trash man from the UK, creates the Problem Halved app. It lets people solve their problems by sharing them with others via the app. All you really need to create an app is access to someone with programming and design skills and the creative spirit.
In the music industry, you have one-hit wonders, you have indie bands, you have big labels, and app developers are kind of like that. You have anything from the moonlighting college kid to the serious going concern that's completely trying to make it on apps.
It is very surprising how quickly the number of apps grew and how people were just drawn to the apps in the App Store.
In its first year, there are 65,000 apps in the App Store. Today, there are more than 100,000. It's estimated that Apple receives 1,000 app submissions a day. And plenty of people are ready to spend their money on apps. According to AdMob, it's estimated that $200 million worth of applications are sold every month. The team at TextHog plans to submit their app to Apple within the next 8 weeks. But first, they must decide on the technical aspects of the app.
Basically, TextHog, the web app, is used to track expenses and mileage. You can set up budgets and reminders, but I think for the iPhone application, we need to simplify that.
To help with the TextHog app, they assemble a team of programmers and designers.
The next important thing is to kind of cover the meat of this process, the main functionality, which is going to be entering in a transaction.
Before the actual code can be written for the app program, the team has to decide how it will look and make sure that the code meets all of Apple's requirements.
In my mind, the simple answer for when a project is ready to begin development is when we've created what we call a screen tree, which shows every single screen in the application, what it's going to look like, how you get there from other screens, what you can do on each screen. It's taking those images and taking that functionality and turning it into code, something that the computer and then eventually the iPhone can understand.
The group doesn't have a lot of time. Their $10,000 investment can only carry them for 3 months, and there's no guarantee Apple will accept it. The fact that these two business partners are using their own money to pay for an app that could be rejected by the App Store doesn't concern Marshall.
I think the hardest part is just getting it done in a short amount of time.
Many developers think that Apple doesn't give them enough guidance and feedback during the approval process.
It's kind of a black hole. For most developers anyway. You submit your application and you don't hear anything for sometimes 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe even more. Some developers have waited months to get their application either rejected or approved.
Apps are accepted or rejected at Apple's discretion. Pornography, nudity, and excessive violence are prohibited. The lingerie fantasy video app is initially rejected by the App Store because it displays nudity and explicit sexual content. The developer makes some changes. Now it's available at the App Store with a 17+ age rating.
A couple of incidents where applications have been pulled after they've actually launched, mainly due to public outcry and bad press. One of those instances is an application called Baby Shaker. It didn't expressly violate any kind of nudity restrictions or anything like that, but it was just a stupid little app that got Apple a lot of bad press, so they pulled it.
And then there are time delays. Freedom Voice Systems, a business telecommunications provider, spent $500,000 creating and marketing Nuber, an app that gives its users a second phone number for their iPhone.
Then I downloaded the Nuber application for my iPhone.
They submit the app to Apple on October 2nd of 2008 and have yet to hear back.
So for a businessman, this product would be, Nuber would be very useful for you to be able to make calls from your cell phone and receive your business calls going to your business number so that no one needed to know your cell phone number.
The team works for 90 days, putting aside all other projects.
We got real focus as a company because we really want to get this product to market as quickly as possible because we wanted to be one of the first, coolest apps.
Nuber gives my iPhone an extra phone number that I can switch on and off at any time.
We made all this brilliant marketing to go behind it. We made television commercials, and we had this silhouette guy that was very Apple-esque.
I needed a phone number for every place I could possibly...
It's more than a year later, and Nuber has not been approved or rejected by the App Store.
They might try.
In fact, the company has had little contact with Apple.
We waited probably 3 weeks before we even did an initial contact with Apple after developing the product, at which point we started calling them on a regular basis just to kind of get a word on where they were with our approval. They kept giving us what seemed to be a fairly canned response of, well, it's still being reviewed, be patient, we'll let you know, which is what we tried to do.
Thomas is aware of critics who say he shouldn't have spent so much money without knowing that the app would be approved for sure.
You're going to get that criticism from people that aren't entrepreneurial. At the end of the day, for us, we spent $500,000, but the only big waste was the marketing dollars at the end for trade shows and things like that. And that really didn't have anything to do with not being accepted. That had to do with the fact that Apple didn't talk to us. The fact that they didn't communicate with us, that cost us the money that we can't recoup.
Coming up, there might be an app for everything, but do they really help us in our everyday lives? And later, how other companies are trying to catch up with Apple in the app game.
The iPhone has all kinds of apps. There are apps that help you catch a flight. There are apps that help you catch a train. Apps for dining in.
Dina Hirschberg is in love with apps.
Having apps on my phone is basically like having a mini computer. It allows me to multitask, and it's easy to carry around. It's not as cumbersome as my laptop, and it's available all the time because that phone is with me all the time.
But are apps just another distraction, an addiction for a multitasker like Dina?
Well, oftentimes my husband says, can you put the phone away? Because I'm a news junkie, and I have maybe 16 different news source apps on my phone, and I can never get enough, and it drives him crazy. It definitely takes away from family time, in certain moments. So, and there's, sometimes I'm driving and I feel like I just really want to get to that, and I know I shouldn't while I'm driving, but...
Or are they a valuable tool for everyday life?
Having apps absolutely makes me more productive because I can multitask. So I can continue working on my computer, doing whatever I'm doing, but it's also like I have a third arm that's incredibly brilliant and is providing me with extra information too. This is my Grocery IQ app, which is fabulous. I decide what we're going to have for dinner, and I generate a grocery list, and then when I come in the store, I have my list, and maybe everything will be here or not. If it's not, then I'm just going to generate an email and send this list directly to my husband to pick up.
They help her catch up on news.
I have maybe 16 different news source apps on my phone, and I can never get enough information, and sometimes it's mainstream news, sometimes it's entertainment news. And now, of course, news nobody can use. I'm going to TMZ. Because you need a chuckle for the day.
And they help her run her toy business.
Hi, Dina. How are you? Good, how are you? There's something called Card Snap, where you take a photo of a business card and it automatically puts it in your contact info. I can generate an invoice directly if I'm at the store, and then from there just email it to them.
Dina estimates that she uses 20 apps a day. According to a study by Gravity Tank, a consulting firm,